Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Variance and Special Exception Use Special Magistrate Hearing. My name is Bart Valdez, and I'm the appointed Special Magistrate to hear today's cases. I'm a practicing attorney and have been a member of the Florida Bar for over 21 years. I've been appointed to this position in accordance and with the authority set forth under Florida law and the City of Madeira Beach Code of Ordinances. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented today in these variance requests. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order that they appear on the agenda. At this time, I have read and reviewed the application with all attachments, any written submissions by anyone having an interest, any timely submitted written objections, and the materials provided by the city staff. In all cases, the hearing will be conducted in the following order. 1, we will call the case and confirm that public notice has been proper. 2, the city will present its case and staff report, and the applicant may ask questions of the city's representative. 3, the applicant will present his or her case supported by witnesses and evidence, and the city may cross-examine each witness. 4, public comment will be solicited or received from parties affected by the variance. Individuals testifying do not have the right to cross-examine the parties. All public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Public participation will then be closed. I will deliberate and then make a decision to grant or deny each variance requested in the applications. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will exert every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness is afforded to all parties. After my decision today, I will issue a written order. The order will be reduced to writing, and the applicant will be provided a copy by mail. Therefore, if the applicant is here, please make sure that we have your current address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a building permit. You must still obtain a building permit for any work you intend to do on your property. If anyone wishes to present any information to me, it is necessary that you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth. Therefore, in just a moment, the city attorney will administer the oath and swear any witnesses. If you expect to talk to me today during the hearing on any matter that is before me, then you need to rise and be sworn. This includes any members of the public who are directly affected by the variance and may wish to provide public comment. Mr. Trask, can you go ahead and swear in all witnesses?
Yes. Anyone that's going to speak, if you can stand up, raise your right hand and be sworn under oath. Anyone that's going to speak at all. You swear that the testimony you're about to give today is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. Have a seat, please.
All right. The first matter on the agenda is VAR 2022-01 for the property located at 14901 and 14903 North Bay Shore Drive. Is the city ready to proceed?
Yes, we are.
Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
First of all, I want to verify the notices have been properly sent. So I'm going to have Jenny Rowan testify today. Jenny, can you first of all tell us your name, your occupation, your responsibilities here at the city?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Rowan, and I am the senior planner here at the City of Madeira Beach in the Community Development Department. I've been with the city a little over 2 years.
Thank you. Are you familiar with this variance application today?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with the affidavit of mailing for this property today?
Yes, I am.
If you could turn to page 22 of 32 in the packet and confirm that the affidavit of mailing that is set forth on page 22 of 32 was an affidavit executed by a city staff member?
Yes, it was.
And who is that executed by?
Sue Portel,
And what does that affidavit of mailing reflect?
that we met the notice requirements of the variance.
So this notice that was sent, it was sent to everyone within a 300-foot radius of the subject property?
Correct.
Okay. And the people that were sent the notice, is that the list on page 24 and 25?
And 27 and 28.
Okay. And where did you get those lists of address from?
It's from the Pinellas County Property Appraiser.
Okay. And did you also take or do an affidavit of posting, or someone in your office do an affidavit of posting?
Yes.
And is that reflected on page 29?
Yes, sir.
And what does that reflect then, this affidavit of posting?
This was posted at City Hall and the property.
And did you have someone take photographs of those postings?
Yes, sir.
And are those shown on pages 30 through 32?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We would tender into evidence those documents, starting with page 22 through 32, reflecting that the affidavit of mailing and posting has been completed and notice has been afforded pursuant to the code.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept into evidence as exhibit number 1, page 32,
22.
excuse me, page 22 through 32 of the agenda packet.
Thank you. And so with that notice being provided to the special magistrate, we'd like Jenny to go ahead and provide the application to you and go over the specifics of this particular application. Okay. Jenny, go ahead.
Okay. The variance request for 14901 and 14903 North Bayshore Drive reduces the front and rear setbacks to construct a new single-family homes. Setbacks in the R2 zoning district create a smaller area of buildable space for the substandard lot. The current buildings and lot are legally non-conforming, built in 1950. So now I'll go through the 6 variance criterias. So criteria 1, special conditions and circumstances exist which are particular to the land, building, or other structures for which the variance is sought and which do not apply generally to the lands, building, or other structures in the same district. Special conditions to be considered shall include, but are not limited to, the following A through E found in my report on page 19 and 20. This application meets criteria A, substandard or irregular shaped lot. If the site involves the utilization of an existing lot that has a unique physical circumstances or conditions, including irregularity of shape, narrowness, shallowness, or the size of the lot is less than the minimum required in the district's regulations. So the findings: the combined lots is substandard and does not conform to the minimum lot size of 80 feet deep. This is found in section 110-205 subsection 3. The lot meets the lot width requirements but is shallower at 75 feet than the minimum building site area requirements, which is 80 feet, for a single-family building in R2. Criteria 2. The special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. A self-created hardship shall not justify a variance. Findings: the hardship of the property was not created by the property owner. The property was platted in 1949. And you can see the subdivision of the North Madeira Shores plat on page 18 of the packet. Criteria 3. Granting the variance will not confer on the applicant any special privileges denied to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning districts. Staff findings: approval of the variance will not grant any special privilege. Many surrounding properties have lots that are similar depth, with homes that are legally non-conforming, many of which were built in the 1950s. This variance does not grant any special privileges that neighbor properties do not currently have. Criteria 4. Literal interpretation would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the land development regulations, subpart B of this code, and would work unnecessarily and undue hardships on the applicant. Staff findings: when the setbacks for the R2 district, which are in section 110-206, are overlaid on the property, the allowable building area for the lot is more minimum than the conforming lot in R2. Most surrounding properties have homes that are legally non-conforming, and this property currently has buildings that are legally non-conforming. Criteria 5. The variance granted is a minimum variance that would make possible the reasonable use of the land. Staff findings: although the property depth is substandard, the property width is larger, which is 90 feet, more than most lots in the surrounding neighborhoods, which are usually 45 feet. The variance for the rear setback, shown as variance 2 on the applicant's site plan, evens out the proposed rear of the building. In staff's experience, builders have had a difficult time trying to create an irregular side of the building. Since Lot 78 is shallower than Lot 79, staff finds this to be very minimum variance to even the rear of the building. The front setback extends a legally non-conforming front setback. When rebuilding a pre-firm legally non-conforming structure in R2, the property owners are exempt from the setback so long as the structure remains within the existing footprint. That's in section 110-93, subsection 3E of the code. Since the property owner is allowed to build within the existing footprint, which is 15.1 feet from the property line in the front, staff believes the extended variance is minimal to create a more cohesive building setback. And I'll just read section 110-93 3E. Owners of non-conforming residential structures in an R1 or R2 zoning district that wish to elevate their existing structure with the lowest habitable floor at or above base flood elevation shall be exempt from the setback provisions of Article 5 in this chapter regarding district regulations, so long as the structure remains in the existing footprint. Criteria 6. The granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Staff's findings: the variance is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations and will not negatively affect the character of the neighborhood. So staff recommendations. Staff recommends approval to allow the rear setback of 19 feet and a front setback of 15.1 feet. This recommendation is based on the substandard lot depth, neighboring legally non-conforming structures with similar setbacks, and current buildings on the property that are legally non-conforming. Section 110-93, subsection 3E of the Madeira Beach Code of Ordinances allows new elevated buildings to be built in the same footprint as existing legally non-conforming structures. This variance extends the non-conforming front setbacks across both lots to create a simpler building footprint. In staff's experience, having an irregular setback that jogs in and out can make it difficult for some buildings to construct a new building using the previous setbacks. Thank you.
This packet of materials that's been provided to the special magistrate, starting at page 3 of 32 and going through page 21, could you look at that and tell me, first of all, whether you recognize those documents?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so is it the application itself that has been provided by the applicant, that's reflected in pages 3 through 18 of the packet, is that correct?
Pages 3 through 17.
Okay.
And I added page 18, the North Madeira Shores plat.
Okay, and then page 19 through 21, that's your actual staff report.
It would be page 18, actually, page 18 to page 21. Oh, it's right down here.
Oh, your staff report is.
Yes. So the plat on page 18, that's a part of the staff report.
Okay. And you're asking that the special magistrate receive into evidence then the application submitted by the applicant and the plat and your staff report?
Yes.
Okay. We'd move that into evidence as composite exhibit number 2.
Go ahead and accept into evidence the special magistrate variance application and the other document and staff report, which I'm showing as page 3 of 32 through page 21 of 32, and that'll be exhibit number 2.
Thank you.
Any other questions for this witness, Mr. Trask?
No, sir.
All right, is anybody here on behalf of the property owner or applicant? Come on up, sir. Good afternoon, sir. What is your name?
Nick Mason.
All right, Mr. Mason, as you may have heard when I was first talking, you're going to get an opportunity to tell me anything you want about this application and everything like that. However, this is your opportunity as the owner of the property to ask any questions of Ms. Rowan. As you may have heard, she's fully recommending that I approve the variance application, but you do have the right to cross-examine her. That means ask questions of her, obviously. Do you have any questions for Ms. Rowan at this time?
No, I don't. I think I've asked all the questions. They've been very helpful.
All right, have a seat, sir. Thank
Thank
you. And again, I'll give you an opportunity to come back up in just a moment. Mr. Trask, anyone else from the city?
We have no other witnesses, but I want to bring to your attention two things. The first is that the city had received a notice of intent to be an affected party from a Ronald Abbott at 14905 North Bayshore Drive. That was timely filed on April 18th at 11:51 a.m. And as I was walking in today, or just after I walked in today, I received an email from a person by the name of Cheryl Buczynski, dated April 22nd, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. And I wanted to make sure that you had copies of those.
I do, and I'll go ahead and put into the record as exhibit number 3, the Friday, April 22nd, 2022 email from Ms. Cheryl Buczynski. I did notice in the exhibit number 1 that her name was listed as a person within the general land area, and I'll go ahead and mark as exhibit 4 the notice of intent to be an affected party by Ronald Abbott. It's just a simple one-page notice, and I'll accept that in as exhibit number 4, so it's all part of the record.
Thank you, that's all I have.
All right. And that's all you have at this point. I'm going to give you an opportunity at the end, Mr. Trask, to present any additional argument. That's all the witnesses you have at this
Yeah,
time?
that's correct.
All right. Excellent. Mr. Mason, come on back up. All right, sir, this is the portion of the hearing where you can tell me anything you want to tell me. You can call any witnesses on your behalf. You can provide any documents or anything like that. So how would you like to use your time today at the hearing?
Okay, I think we submitted a pretty complete application. We did look at a number of things. We want to be good neighbors. We wanted to make sure that we weren't going to affect anybody's views or anything. So we did, I think it's the second to last, you guys have a different numbering system. The second to last drawing is the aerial view that shows the front and rear boundaries up and down the street of the adjacent houses. The 78 and 79 are the lots of interest. The front variance number 1, you'll see that all the houses pretty much line up with that variance, as does the existing, I think, both houses on 78 and 79. Variance number 2 is predominantly on lot 78, which is at the back there. It's, I think, an extra 5 feet, but again, it lines up, and in fact, it's even shorter than the adjacent houses on either side of the lots. So you'll see lots 77 and 80 actually protrude further back from even the variance that we're requesting. So we did look at whose views we might be blocking, and if lot 80 protrudes far enough back that any sight lines would actually be back in towards the lot. Lot 77 their view would be blocked very slightly as it points, if you go from the corner of that house across the front of lot 79, and with the variance moving out a little bit, it would move it out a couple of degrees, but it will block a little bit of the boats down the side, the water. And I do have a one I did not submit. I have a diagram here, or a view that shows the difference.
You want to show that to Mr. Trask, and
Certainly.
then I'll take a look at it?
Which lot is yours?
So let's do here.
Okay,
So this is the house. The green is the existing view, the red's the.
Gotcha.
Get the second variance.
okay.
I have a couple of those.
Yes, if you could submit one to the special magistrate, why don't you give me the copy that you're going to circulate, and I'll provide it. All right, thank you, sir.
All right, sir, I'll go ahead and accept into evidence as exhibit number 5, the aerial photograph with, I believe, what are sight lines drawn on it. All right, what else would you like to tell me?
That's it.
All right, very good, sir. I understand your application. I was looking at what you were going over, so I was exactly following what you're saying. All right, sir, are there well, first of all, Mr. Trask, any cross-examination? I'm sorry.
No questions, thank you.
All right. Sir, is there anything else you want to tell me? Are there any other witnesses you'd like to call on your behalf?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You can have a seat at this
Thank you.
point. All right. Now is the time for public comment. And if there's any members of the public that want to come forward and speak, I'm happy to consider anything you want to tell me. We do generally limit it to 3 minutes per person. The city has the right, if they want to ask for more time for you, but generally we do limit it to 3 minutes per person. So, however you want to come up, if there's any members of the public that would like to present anything to me, now is the time to go ahead and present that. Good afternoon, sir. First, tell
Good
me your
afternoon.
name and address.
My name is Ron Abbott, 14905 North Bayshore Drive.
All right, Mr.
I'll be
Abbott, I
the
do have
neighbor to the
your,
west.
hold on, Mr. Abbott. I do have your notice of intent to be an affected party, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. What would you like me to consider, sir?
Well, I just wanted to say, first of all, that it seems to me that I know these folks have been working on this house for a long time, and I've got like my 7 days' notice of this meeting and what's going on, and some folks were out of town and got even less. So it seems that it could have been a lot more notice given to what's going on here than it could have done a long time ago. That being said, Jenny was nice enough to send me the information that I required. I was unable to ascertain the ramifications of the setback just by reading the numbers. But it looks like the houses are just lining up. And despite the fact that I lose 10 or 15% of my view and all of my view of the intercoastal, what can I say? So I really have no objections.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay?
Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak today on this particular variance application? Going once, going twice. Okay, come on up. And ma'am, as you come forward, just like Mr. Abbott, if you can please give me your name and address.
Shirley Bingham,
And-
14845 North Bayshore Drive.
Is it Shirley, Shirley?
Yes.
And last name?
Bingham, Bingham,
Give me that address one more time.
14845 North Bayshore Drive.
Ms. Bingham, what would you like to tell me about this variance application?
As you're talking about the footprint, you're talking about them building the house as the footprint is, or are we going more towards the water or more towards the street?
Ma'am, what I can tell you is what's within the packet. And again, as I said.
And I don't have that packet.
Okay, I don't grant building permits anyway. That's not what we're doing here today. What the applicant has requested is a change from the technical setbacks on the property, and that's what the staff is recommending.
Okay, again, what does that mean in layman's terms? Are you moving closer to the water? Are you moving closer to the road? Can you answer that?
Ma'am, what's what the staff is, why don't we do this? If you want to, you can look at the staff packet, they can show you. All I'm considering is what they're providing, and it's a setback line. Again, I'm not approving any building permit today. So to ask me, am I approving them moving closer to the road or farther from the road? That's not what we're doing today. I'm not approving any kind of building permit.
Okay, I understand that, but you're approving a variance for possible building. That's
That-
what, I live more towards the water, and they recently built the house right next door to me. I know we're not talking about that, but they have blocked our view with a fence. So I don't understand, and you can let people build a new place and raise their property 2 to 3 feet above mine, and then when flooding comes, I have more flooding, and I have that issue now. And I just don't know, I'd like to know more about this. So if there's going to be more meetings, I definitely want to be involved. And when it comes to applying for their building permit, who is privy to that? Can I come to those meetings when they do those?
You need to talk with the city staff about that. What I can tell you is, here's what the applicant has requested. They want to reduce the front yard setback to 15.1 feet. That means that the front of their building would start at 15.1 feet from the road, and the rear yard setback to 19 feet. So that's what the applicant has requested, are those two changes.
Okay, where are they currently sitting?
Again, ma'am, what I have
to
is
look in the package.
what's in the package
Okay.
there. And there is within the package something that looks like a concept plan or something like that that will show the proposed general areas of where something will be built. But again, that's not what we're here to talk about today. For purposes of today, the question is, has the applicant met the criteria that exists within this code of ordinances right here for me to grant a variance to both the front setback, which means how close they can get to the road, in this case, the rear setback, which is how close they can get to the water. And that's what's before me right now, and that's the only thing that's before me right now.
And there's no variance about height or square footage of the home?
That's not what this applicant is seeking.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other members of the public that would like to come forward today? Hello, sir. Again, like the others, if you can give me your name and address.
Absolutely. It's Andrew Baker. The address is 14871 North Bay Shore Drive.
All right, Mr. Baker, what would you like to tell me?
I think the reason that I'm here today is, one, because I don't have a Florida bar license, and I'm licensed in Ohio, and didn't know if you could approve that for me today. I'm obviously kidding. I don't want to take the bar exam again, but with that being said, in all seriousness, I think the issue deals more so with uniformity. And Tom Graves, one of the writers I really like, said, let's keep it simple. Government controls means, uniformity, regulation, fees, inspection, and yes, compliance. And I think what we have here is an issue that continues to come up within our neighborhood, and the whole underlying purpose of these codes is to keep things so that they are uniform, so that you prevent some folks from having privileges that others don't. And I think on top of that, it prevents what is going to happen when you do vary from that, which is going to be more arguments among neighbors, more issues among neighbors, things that I think the whole purpose of uniformity are there to protect against. Now, with respect to this application, without seeing the packet, as Ms. Bingham mentioned earlier, it's very difficult to know whether or not this will impact, say, our view or other neighbors' views. And I've met the applicants. I think they're good people. I don't think that's their intent. And I'm sure they'll probably keep that within the boundaries of what's fair for everyone. But I think this is a more general opportunity for me to voice my opinion about the fact that we have noticed a number of things that are not uniform, that are outside the boundaries that have been put in place to protect against these very issues. And some of those have become problems, and they've created problems within the neighborhood among neighbors, but more importantly, they've affected that person's use and enjoyment of their property. That may be a view, that may be time spent on the water, that may be a number of different things, but however that individual who invests in that property feels that they can use their property to their enjoyment, if it's impacted by these other variances and these things that go outside the code and break the code of uniformity, which is the whole point when you're non-compliant under Section 110, the non-compliance has to be viewed in light of how does that affect other people. And if the old phrase goes, if you do it for one, you'll do it for the next one. Or the next person will say, well, you did it for them, why didn't you do it for me? So all I'm asking, and it really is outside the scope of this application, is that the city consider the ramifications of granting these variances as it impacts the entire city and as it impacts individual neighbors and individual property owners from what they perceive as the value of their property. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else, any other members of the public that would like to address me today? All right, going once, going twice. All right, we're going to go ahead and close public comment. All right, Mr. Trask, any additional arguments, statements, anything the city would like to tell me?
No, we just ask that you accept staff recommendation of approval.
Got it. Now, I didn't read any, I know that the staff said its recommendation had justifications, but I didn't see any conditions on the approval, correct? It's just approving the application?
That's correct, no conditions.
All right. Everyone, based upon the record before me, the applicant has demonstrated that they're entitled to a variance based upon meeting all of the criteria that is set forth in the Code of Ordinances. Again, my role here today is determine whether or not the applicant is sufficient and whether or not the application meets the criteria that are set forth in the ordinances. Of course, I didn't write the ordinances. That's done by the city commission. And so if anyone has any issues with that, I would certainly encourage you guys to participate in the public. If you have any specific questions about this application, it is a public record. You can ask the city to give you everything that I was given today. It's a matter of public record, and you can inspect that at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and grant the variance. Sir, what you'll do is you'll get an order. I'll send the original to the city, and then you'll continue to work with city staff. But I'm approving your variance application. Will be reduced to a written order in the next few days here, and you'll be sent a copy. All right? Is there anything else on the agenda for me today? All right. That will then conclude today's hearing. Thank you, everyone, for coming.